Silicon Slope Summit is Utah's original and longest-running grassroots tech event. It provides entrepreneurs, startups, and leaders the resources and community they need to succeed. With the pandemic behind us, we're excited to bring Silicon Slope Summit back to its original January dates in conjunction with the Sundance Film Festival. We have some unbelievable news. Silicon Slope Summit is free for all Utahns for the first time ever. You heard that right. Silicon Slope Summit is now free. For those looking for an upgraded experience, we are also offering VIP tickets for just $95. Thanks to our partners, sponsors, and government leaders, Silicon Slope Summit is the most accessible tech and startup event in the world. Summit will be hosted in multiple locations throughout the week in both Utah and Salt Lake Valley. There will also be a Startup Alley at Summit this year, where startups and entrepreneurs can meet with investors from around the world to pitch their ideas, receive feedback, and promote what they're building. Of course, we'll be bringing in world-class leaders and speakers, as we have in the past, but we'll also be hosting specific tracks and bringing attendees together for curated networking in a way never done before. You don't want to miss this year's summit. To register, buy VIP tickets, learn about sponsorship, and apply for your startup to be part of Startup Alley, go to siliconslopes.com/summit.
Some of the best ones are actually usually like 20, 25. Like, I don't know. Like, it all just depends.
We'll just kind of feel it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
How's life?
Good. Yeah.
You're doing good?
Doing good.
So how long have you been doing proximity?
So actually, we're coming up on 2 years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Really good. We're in 10 different states. We've got strong MRR and we just opened our seed round.
So explain to us what proximity is and does.
So yeah, Proximity is a platform for political leaders to connect more closely with voters. So basically think of it as like HubSpot, MailChimp, Eventbrite, and more combined for politics.
What do politicians use now or prior to before you guys existed? Did they just mash all those technologies you just mentioned together?
Yeah. So the last campaign I worked, I was finance director on a Senate campaign and I used 6 different programs. So using all the different tools, none of the data talked to each other. And I was really frustrated because I was like, why do I have to do all this manual work? And it doesn't feel like it's efficient. It's not effective. And I don't get to see the overall view of the voter. So the thing that's kind of neat about Proximity is you get to see how they're interacting with emails, if they're coming to events, when they voted, if they are donating, all of those things in one location, and gives you like a clear view of who the voter is and if they're really supportive of you.
That's pretty cool. So is it nonpartisan?
Nonpartisan intentionally, yeah.
How do you manage that? Like, is it really just like if you have the money as a campaign, then you can use the platform, or how does that work?
Well, you know best, Clint, like tech is tech and good tech will rise to the top. And right now, most of the tech in politicians and political campaigns and everything like that looks like your cousin built it in his basement about 20 years ago. And so it's really frustrating to use. It's too like complex and not helpful. And so what they're using right now is one of many things, or they're not using tech at all. So we're here to solve that.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And you came to like the realization that this was needed by like the campaigns you've run, been a part of, all that type of stuff, and how challenging it is, right?
Right. So I actually ran for city council myself. I lost by 11 votes.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was good. And my Google Sheets and my paper maps didn't cut it and didn't help me to solve that problem. And I was involved in politics, started helping people run for office, helping them be successful, and eventually was on a statewide campaign where I realized a lot of the same issues still existed for this candidate. And I thought, even all these years later and in a more sophisticated campaign, we're still seeing the same problems. I got to solve this. So yeah, built Proximity to do that.
Oh, that's cool. So you're in 10 states, you said?
So we've opened up 10 markets. We can be in any state right now, but that's who we currently have candidates in 10 states. Yeah.
And have you raised or you bootstrapped so far? Because you said you have opened a seed round. So have you raised a little bit prior to that, or is it all bootstrapped?
So it's been all bootstrapped.
That is incredible.
I know.
Again, congrats.
I know. Up until like just a little bit ago.
That is awesome.
I know. And now we've had some people, some angels who've been wanting to invest right from the start. And so we've got those supporters in and then got that money in and just started our seed round and starting to talk to other people as well.
What's the market for something like this? I mean, particularly on a year like this, you hear like billions of dollars are being spent on like political campaigns. What about like the off years? Like what do you do like next year when there's no campaigns?
Yeah. So people don't realize that if you were to go to any state and look up their elections calendar, it is ongoing constantly. And actually next year, 7 times the number of people are going to be running for political office because they're running in down ballot races. So city council, mayoral, all of those. And those are people who've never had any support at all. So there are over 500,000 elected offices in the US. And depending on the race level, you can have anywhere from 2 to 10 people running for each open seat. And that in just the federal FEC reported is a $13 billion cottage industry. Add in all of the down ballot races. And what we're also doing is helping elected officials with their constituent management. It's a $30 billion market.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So what would somebody like Trump or Kamala be using right now? Do they have anything as good as proximity right now?
I mean, no, nothing as good as proximity. No, but they're going to be using either something that exists or a number of things that exist. Or really sophisticated campaigns are going to be building their own software sometimes.
Okay.
So you might have something where they say, like, we have a full tech team that's going to be doing some things for projections and different things, pollings, all of that stuff. But like I said, no one in the down ballot races or in the average candidate or the average person who wants to run, they don't have any support. And what they have really just isn't cutting it.
What have you been most proud of so far?
I'm really proud of like the growth that we've received already. But one of the things that I love is when I hear from candidates like, gosh, I love this. I love that. Your tool helped me get on the ballot. We can gather signatures with it using volunteers, saving candidates hundreds of thousands of dollars because that's a whole thing here in Utah, getting ballot access.
A whole thing every day.
It is a whole thing,
right now,
yeah.
Seems like.
Seriously. So I'm just proud of the feedback that has come from candidates, really. And one of the reasons why we decided to open up elected officials is obviously to increase that customer life cycle and be able to meet their needs long term, but also because we had elected officials coming to us and saying, hey, I'm not a candidate. Can I use proximity? And we're like, yes, we can solve the problem.
That's interesting because they're already in office and they need the same tools, which makes sense. What about AI? How are you utilizing AI?
So part of our seed round is going to go towards, first of all, marketing. We've done absolutely no marketing. We've just done a little bit of sales calls and then our networks and then people telling people. So that's been really awesome.
Congratulations. Seriously, Becki, what you've done is so impressive.
Hey, thank you.
This is so cool.
We're stoked. We're stoked to see product market fit. We're stoked to see massive growth, filling a need and solving a problem that we think is really important. So we're
sorry, interrupting you on the AI thing.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about.
So our seed round's raising for marketing because we've not done any marketing yet. And we're doing our campaign logistics AI manager claim, where you can claim victory. We already have that all wireframed. We've got it trademarked. We've got a lot of things going there where it's going to give you data-driven insights on the interactions that voters are having with candidates or with elected officials to give them a score to say, this person is supportive. And this person, based on voter history, is likely to show up to the polls. So then it will give the candidate a list of people that are like, these guys are engaged and these guys support you. So activate them to the polls right now. It's also going to help with basic stuff like email creation, texting, any of the stuff to figure out the system itself. And then one of the things I'm really proud of is we're actually partnering with the Dignity Index. Tammy Pfeiffer and others throughout the nation have this Dignity Index that ranks political speech by how dignified it is. And they have an AI tool that looks at the speech and says, this ranks X on the Dignity Index scale. And that will help us to put that into proximity and say, hey, heads up, candidate, elected official, your political speech, your email is ranking X on the Dignity Index, trying to help change that conversation.
I don't know. I guess I don't know what that means. What does Dignity Index mean?
So if we look at kind of the mess that politics is in right now, a lot of it deals with not treating someone as a human being. It's othering the person or making them not seem human. And so then we can discount their beliefs or discount what they have to say. And then that can turn from not only just discounting, but also completely wanting harm for them and then actually fulfilling harm. So that's where we see problems, political violence and unrest. And if we don't...
How dignified are we right now?
I know we're quite dignified, right? Quite dignified. If we don't do something about it, it's like we're part of the problem. And so the Dignity Index is really a mirror that lets you look and say, what am I saying in this space? Or how am I responding to this person? Or how am I discounting this person? Or how am I inciting violence through my rhetoric? So putting that in through AI is going to be something that's going to be game changer for just helping candidates self-select the voices that they're amplifying or the words that they're using out with the public.
Yeah, that's interesting. I imagine you've thought about this, but the amount of data that you're collecting is probably going to be the most valuable piece of your company.
Yes, I have thought about that. Seeing trends on how successful campaigns are and what is effective in reaching out and engaging voters and constituents is going to be one of our most valuable assets.
So what do you do to protect that data and use it for good and not bad?
Yes. So speaking of two aspects, first of all, AI, one of the things we're doing with our claim module is we're not even housing the private data, the PPI, in the same space as all of the interactions. So once we put that into that black box, it is separated, right? And so then we can see those data-driven insights based on not knowing the information about the individual. But also we have started with our SOC 2 compliance that allows for us to be secure, privacy, all of the regulations, all of the laws, because we want people to feel safe and secure about their data and make sure that it's not going to be touched or meld with any other campaign that we service.
Yeah, that's going to be your big challenge and your big opportunity.
Absolutely.
Which is really cool. How do you think we're doing in Utah? Just general, not politically, although you could answer that, but just generally as a tech community, as an ecosystem, how are we doing?
I mean, we're fantastic. One of the things that I feel like I visited other states throughout the nation trying to build community and outreach, and it's been awesome to see the political strongholds that we have throughout the nation, but the tech strongholds, really, it feels like Utah is that tech stronghold. I can't imagine building a business in any place other than in Utah right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Loving the actual community that's here, the regulation or lack of regulation, or the encouragement that happens to build a company has been phenomenal for me.
Would you ever tell a candidate they can't use your platform?
So we do have terms of use, and those terms of use include, following the law, not being slanderous, all those types of things, and not trying to overthrow the government. Those are kind of our thresholds, but we follow the basic tenet that more voices at the table bring a better outcome. So we want to democratize democracy. We want to level the playing field for anyone and everyone. And that means that sometimes there's going to be people on the platform that maybe I don't even agree with their platform, but I believe that allowing voices to be heard is part of the process.
Yeah. What do you make of our system where just because it's top of mind and you mentioned signature gathering, now I can't get out of my head. Like this system we have where you can gather signatures to get on the primary, or you can go through a convention.
Yeah.
Like, what do you make about that? That seems unsustainable. It seems like Utah's going to pick a lane.
Well, so there's a couple things that are at play here. First of all, because we have closed primaries, there's a whole dynamic of who can participate in the primaries. But before that even begins, people don't realize that the caucus convention system, with its complexity, is where a lot of the decisions are made. So in order to navigate that, they created the signature path, right? So that the caucus convention, which tends to find the more extreme voices in the party, the signature path allows them to navigate that and say, okay, we still want them on the primary ballot. But what we're finding now is it's a pay-to-play situation. So people are spending tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars just for ballot access because they know that they don't meet the needs of their extreme party membership and they want to get on the ballot, but they have such a high threshold.
Right? It's like, I'll give you $400,000 and guaranteed you're going to be on the primary ballot. And that's pretty wild.
It's wild. So there's like many things about the system that are not ideal. The other thing that's frustrating is that Utah has one of the highest signature thresholds in the nation. So if you look at another state that requires signatures to get on a ballot, they have a couple hundred. We have thousands upon thousands. And that just takes, and it has to be registered voters, has to be in your district, all these different like requirements really requires a lot of money. It requires people to pay to get access to that ballot.
It really does it does leave people out. It doesn't democratize democracy. But
proximity could. Yeah, you used it. Good job.
The one thing I don't know if I like the caucus system either. I don't think it's interesting.
Well, it's definitely something that I know for a fact their party leadership, even existing party leadership, knows that there's some issues. Non-existing party leadership, a lot of people believe there are lots of issues. So there's conversations that are happening right now on how to address the needs of party membership, the general public, and just how to reach and allow for voters to be participating in this process.
Yeah, it does seem like it'd be hard to get just an average Joe elected, but that's always been true, right?
Well, it seems like it would be hard if you didn't have the right tools and resources. And that's what proximity is trying to do. So candidates can use us instead of hiring an expensive signature firm. They can use us and volunteers and be able to go and figure out who in their district are, registered in their party, get their signature, validate that right away, send it in. So that's a process using our canvassing tool and our signature gathering tool that allows them to bypass that expensive requirement.
Can you do digital signatures or does it all have to be in paper?
No, paper.
Why is everything so weird in this world?
I know, right? Like, come on, get with the program. No, right now.
No, again, or just do all of that. Like, just pick one thing that makes it clear. It's always so fascinating.
Well, that's why we need people like you to have their voices heard and say, I'm willing to show up to represent my community or many people in my community and say, there's got to be a better way here. We can't be stuck the way that we've been always doing things. We've got to make some progress.
Okay, I'm running for governor.
Do it.
On the proximity platform.
We'll take you.
That'll be my party.
We'll take you.
I'll be in the proximity party.
Be careful. The governor used proximity. He uses the word proximity often, actually. After I started it, I started noticing that he's like, get proximate with people. And I'm like, oh, okay. There's a trend here.
Interesting.
So
yeah, tell us about the name. How did you land on the name?
So proximity was really created because I was so frustrated with everything dispersed and not close. I need my data, I need my tools, I need my resources close to be really effective. But then also it has that dual meaning of not only bringing everything you need close or proximate to you, but it allows you to become closer and more proximate to those you're representing. So whether that's in office or when you're running for office, having that proximate relationship with them because you're not worrying about all these extra operational things that you have to do. They're being done by robots and by tech and by all the things. Then you can spend the time getting to know who you're representing.
Yeah. And like what you even believe.
Yeah. Yeah. And like figuring out what they believe and how you can represent that and all the things. Imagine.
Well, I love anything that makes that less complicated and more streamlined. So again, I can't tell you how impressed I am with what you've built. It's incredible. The fact that you've bootstrapped this long is going to be so great for the long term of the company. So congratulations on all of that.
Yeah.
We end every interview with the same question.
Okay.
And that is, we believe the chances one gives is just as important as the chances one takes. When you hear that, who gave you a chance to get you to where you are today?
One of my first champions and believers was Margaret Bussey. She is actually in the governor's cabinet and she works for the Department of Commerce as the executive director. But she has been in politics or adjacent to politics for many years outside of Utah and within Utah. And she also did some research and some studying on double bottom lines, on making money and doing good, and why it matters to do both together simultaneously. Proximity is a public benefit corporation. We are intentionally nonpartisan.
Cool.
Yeah, we want to represent people, and we want to do it in a way that they feel really good about. So when I told Margaret about this, she said, you got to do this. You got to make this happen. And super happy to be doing that and be where we are today.
Becki, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Seriously, what an incredible company. I'm glad you're building it in Utah.
Hey, thanks. So am I.